I will request Brigadier Mahajan. Brigadier Mahajan is a colleague of mine. He is well known in the defense circle and various circles for his research, for his speech, and he is a, I will put it this way, soldier educationist, soldier intellectual. Okay, so welcome, sir.
I have a presentation. It will just come on. But General L.N. Singh said few kind words about me. The only request that I want to make to the General is that whatever he said, whenever he comes next to Pune, say the same thing in front of my wife, you know. She'll come to realize what a great guy I is, because I don't think she concurs with what General L.N. has said, you know. So maybe you do require some friends in need, etc. Okay. The presentation is going to come on. I hope the last man will put out the presentation, but before that I'll just do thanking business. I thank the organizers for getting me here to speak on geopolitics as well as defense and security of the global South countries. I want to start off by saying two things. You know, we came to Manipur yesterday, and a lot of speakers before us have spoken about Manipur, its culture, waterlands, and many other things. But what I personally feel is the human angle of Manipur is the most important. Today, Manipur is a sporting superpower, and just few days back, if you remember, there was the Indian team which played Myanmar team some time back, and the crowd that was present for this match was the highest ever in the country. Okay, that is one thing, and there are so many sporting heroes, you know, that I can talk about. Secondly, Manipuris also contribute tremendously to the security of this country, you know. The number of Manipuris in the Indian Army, the Assam Rifles, and many other Central Armed Police Forces must be the highest in the country, per capita I am talking about, okay. That is second part that I want to talk about. And third part is the Manipuris have a lot of connection with Maharashtra, the place from where I am coming right now. A lot of Manipuris come for education to Pune, etc. And they are studying in Mumbai, they are studying in Pune, they are studying in Dombivli, they are studying at so many other places. And they are doing very good job as far as the tourism industry is concerned. So the human capital of Manipur is one of the strongest. Just continue with the slides, please. You don't need to show my face. They can see, I suppose, me clearly. Okay. The topic given to me is, you know, this geopolitics and various security challenges that you have, you know. So geopolitics is one aspect and security challenges is another aspect. Now I'm going to focus on the global south, because the world has been divided into two parts, the global north and the global south. Global north are basically the prosperous countries, the bigger countries who are doing well. In the global south, if you look at the geographical map, they are generally the countries who are on the southern hemisphere, most of them, and they are not developed. Economically, they are backwards. They face a host of challenges, etc. And nobody does anything about it. Yeah, next slide, please. Now, what happens is, all that is written there, I don't want to talk about it because Vasudev kutumbakkam has been spoken so many times. But when General L.N. requested me to speak about it, I just tried to find out. There are a lot of bodies which are there, like the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations Security Council, and then there are 45, 50 other various forums are there. How much time have they spent for resolving the issues which pertain to the global south countries? And my research, General L.N. showed me that not even 15 to 20% of time was spent on that. Almost 70, 80% of time was spent by these countries, be it USA to guard interest, be it China to do intervention somewhere or the other, the European countries. The United Nations is basically it's a kind of an organization which is completely dominated by the veto power countries, and they have no time at all for the challenges which the global south countries or the poor countries face, you know. And when they start talking about it, they give you advices which are very, very impractical. For example, global warming, etc. They want you to do things which they did not do for 40 years, and they want you to do it right from the beginning. They say don't burn coal, etc. So they are just not really bothered about the challenges that we face in the global south. So India is actually becoming a voice for these countries to discuss these issues, debate these issues, come out to a workable solution. Next slide, please. So today the world is in complete turbulence. There's a stagflation which is going on. Economies are in doldrums. There are a lot of problems as far as growth is concerned. And in this, India is one of the brightest spots in the whole world. We have been able to weather all the storms that came our way, and we have done very, very well. I don't want to get into each line, because the slide warfare is such that one can speak for 10 minutes together on each of the points, but I'll just make some representative points, and all of you are intelligent enough to understand the meaning, because one of the challenges that you face after lunch is whatever you want to say has already been said by somebody who's there, the quotations, the slides, everything. And then also another challenge is, after a good lunch, the Manipuri thali was very good. I can vouch for that. But well, that is then the time to go to sleep, rather than listen to an intellectual discourse. So therefore, the crowd definitely decreases. And I can see a lot of empty chairs which are not there in the morning, maybe we are not responsible for it. It is scheduling that is responsible for it. Others some people will take it because the military officers have come, the crowd has decided कि क्या सुनना है. ठीक है? Well, I don't think that is the reason. Okay, go to the next slide, please.
You can take 5 minutes of my
Okay. Now, the challenges are many. Now, what we need to do is we need to analyze the challenges, compile them into various headings, and thereafter work out solutions, because the solutions is what we need to do. And go ahead, please. The basic issue is that when we talk of Global South, for the ease of understanding, I have divided them into 4 parts. First is the Pacific Oceania states. There are 12 of them in the Indo-Pacific. A lot of things are happening there. Second part is the Asian countries and some of the poorer countries of the Asia, like Maldives, etc. They have another set of challenges which is very, very uncommon. Third is the South America and the Central America, also called as Latin America. They have a set of security challenges which are quite uncommon. It is related to that particular region. And the last is the African countries. In fact, talking of the African countries first, just last month there was a seminar held in Pune in which 44 African country chiefs came to Pune, and they gave their presentations, and India suggested what are the challenges that they face, and more important, what can you do about it. And India is going to help them to build up their security forces in a big way, but that will be a longer story. Go ahead, please. So I have divided my talk into these 5 major headings. What are the challenges that we face? The first is the geopolitical challenges. Then are the challenges which various regions face. Then I'll try to make a common kind of a denominator as to what are the challenges which everybody faces. And then more important is an action plan to ensure that we are able to overcome these challenges. Okay, go ahead. Now, Global South was a term which was coined some time back. I will not get into the definitions. Less developed countries, economically backward countries, countries which came out of colonization, etc. Leave aside that. But the fact remains, even after the United Nations has come long time back, none of their problems has ever been addressed in a unified manner. So India has taken a lead in this particular thing to find out what are the problems that they face, and once you identify the challenges, then of course you can find solutions to it. That is what this slide actually means. Now, when we talk of geopolitical, geopolitical is, can it be a challenge? Can we work together? If you work together, maybe the challenges can be less. I'll just give you 2 examples of geopolitical challenges. There's a group of countries called the OPEC countries. That is the countries which produce crude oil. Now they hold the rest of the world to a ransom by fluctuating their price, by reducing production, by increasing price, etc. So they are exploiting this. And second is another extreme. In Africa, China, what they have done is they are buying raw material from there at a cost which is 1/5 of the extraction cost, meaning they're actually looting the African subcontinent, African continent, So one set of countries trying to control resources by jacking up the price, by reducing production, and another exploiting resources from a global south, which are not even given the correct price which is required to be given to them. So the winner in this case are the global north countries who are the winners, and the losers are the global south countries. So basically, if you have to see the challenges that are there, if you go in for dialogues, you go for diplomacy, you talk of multilateralism, you talk of promoting economic integration, you talk about following international laws, etc., the solutions can be found much better. I'll just give you one example. International laws. There's a law called United Nations Convention on Laws of Sea, which says that from the coastline, up to the 12 nautical miles, the sea which is there is called the territorial waters of the country, which means laws of the land are applicable there. up to 200 nautical miles is supposed to be the exclusive economic zone where you can exploit resources, and up to 350 is going to be the extended exclusive economic zone. It's a world law, but there are these countries, they just don't follow it. What it simply means is that beyond 12 nautical miles, the sea belongs to the entire world. But look at South China Sea. China claims the whole South China Sea belongs to us, and similarly is the case. So therefore, countries are not able to go inside that. There's a salami slicing which is going on in the South China Sea. The aeroplanes which fly over that, suddenly the GPS stop functioning, etc. So there are a lot of challenges this world faces, because the laws of the world are not being followed by these countries. You know, still go behind only. Show the previous slide. So therefore, what you have to do is climate change, environmental degradation, social justice, inclusion, past interferences. So what it simply means is that geopolitics, instead of being a place for confrontation, it can be a place for cooperation, in which, based on the world laws, we can share the resources so that the poorer countries get a better deal and they're able to prosper. So geopolitics doesn't have to be a competition. Here we have to follow a cooperative model, and that is what we've been talking since morning. The world is one family, and we must share resources, we must cooperate, we must ensure that the needs of the world are also met in addition to your own needs. Go ahead, please. Now, when you talk of the security, next slide, please. The challenges which Southeast Asian countries face are given here, that maritime disputes, terrorism, cyber security, military modernization, and etc. And last three slides are the solutions to it. The solutions you'll really see are the same ones: diplomacy, dialogue, counter-terrorist cooperation, etc. In fact, just to give an example, every country in the world today is facing a problem of terrorism. And India today is one of the biggest voice. India today is one of the biggest training grounds as far as the militaries of Africa, Asia are concerned, where these people come to India to get training, the training imparted to them by the Indian Army or Indian Armed Forces. In fact, any time, and in fact, you'll be happy to know that generally it is taken that whenever you have a bright student, you know, the bright students decide to go to USA or Europe for further education, because obviously they feel that education there is better than what it is given here. But as far as military is concerned, it is the other way around. The USA Army, all the European armies come to us for training, for improving their qualitative resources, because they feel that we have something to contribute to the quality of training. In fact, you must know that USA soldiers who used to serve in Iraq, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, used to pass via India, get trained in our institutions and go there. And today, if you take an institution-wise, I think we must be having the maximum number of foreigners who are studying in institutions like NDA, IMA, and then there are College of Military Engineering, and there are so many institutions that are there. So this is one education which we have to be proud of. We are helping these countries to improve the qualitative requirement of security, which will ensure that the countries prosper better. Go ahead, please. Now, as far as the Asian countries are concerned, they have just evolved a policy called the AMO, in which they basically try to frame rules. This actually, to my mind, is an effect of our global 20 country, whatever we started doing. Suddenly they just started realizing, okay, why can't we get together as a regional bloc and consider the problems together and find out solutions? In fact, today only I read a very interesting news, you know, that we're talking of global 20 countries, and I showed you a slide on Oceania, etc., those 12 Pacific nations. Our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, is going to go to these countries in the month of May to talk to them as a regional bloc. And China is definitely worried. This was in today's newspaper, you know. So obviously, they have started realizing that if India takes a lead in resolving the issues which pertain to the world, obviously the Indian importance in this, as a strategic, this thing will increase. And the other countries which are called as peacekeeping countries, the USA or the European nations, etc., their importance will go down. So while we are also doing many seminars on these issues, but these countries have also now started following our tradition. And I must tell you something very interesting that I saw yesterday. I think it came in the news yesterday. I think most probably after India finishes its presidentship of the G20 nation, the next is, I think, Brazil most probably. And they have said, and Brazil is also going to become a president of the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The Brazil has said, SCO on hold, freeze, we will focus only on the G20 summit, because obviously now they have to compete with what India has done or kind of solutions that India has done. Meaning, you know, we have followed a diplomatic path which now many countries in the world are watching carefully and are trying to copy it. That is what credit we can take. Next one. As far as the South and Central American countries are concerned, they face a problem of political instability, drug trafficking, transnational organized crime, terrorism, cyber security, etc. Those problems are well known. So what do you do? If you just read the suggested countermeasures, it has been given there. I will not want to read them one after another, but it simply means that once you have identified a problem, a solution can be given. But one solution that I want to make here is all these countries, be it South Asian, South American countries or Asian countries or Indo-Pacific countries, all of them have what is called as a political organization. But when I did my research, I found that they do not have a military organization by which it can be controlled. Suppose you want to control terrorism in Africa. Is there one organization which is doing it? The short answer is no. So what I want to recommend is all these political organizations must have a military cell, a military headquarters, which can be called as a coordinating headquarters, which can share intelligence, share resources, share effort, so that the challenges can be met in a better manner. Political blocks are already existing, but there are no security blocks in the global South countries. Otherwise, Warsaw Pact and NATO Pact and all are there, but not in the global South countries. So there are a number of recommendations that I have given, and I'm sure you'll read it in your time. Okay, next slide, please. The next is Indo-Pacific. These are all very small countries having 50, 60, 70, 100 islands, population varying between 3 to 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 6 lakhs. And China is carrying out what is called here, read the thing on the top, political warfare. What does political warfare means? You buy politicians in that country and take out that country. So today, the biggest decision maker in the Indo-Pacific is China. And so what do they want to do? They are converting these policies of these countries in such a manner that the beneficiary is China. So actually, they are looting the resources of the Indo-Pacific countries. That is what is happening. This is what we must stop. The other challenges are democracy, defense cooperation, countering disinformation, building people-to-people contact, maritime security, etc. Okay, next slide, please. The next is the countermeasures that we need to take. The biggest challenge they face is basically global warming, the ocean levels rising up, and maybe in 5 to 10 years, some of the islands will start disappearing, and the population there will get displaced, etc. So what are the countermeasures to be taken? One can do a lot of things, but there are 2-3 challenges which are common to everybody, and that is what I would like to talk. First is coastal security or maritime security. Be it the countries of South America, Central America, or Africa, or Southeast Asian countries, everybody has a coastline. Everybody has a coastline. So coastal security becomes important. What are the challenges to coastal security? The challenges to coastal security are illegal trade, smuggling, transnational crime. Okay, the bigger countries like China coming into your waters and doing poaching, etc. You have some of the unoccupied islands being utilized for doing something wrong. So these are the common challenges as far as the maritime security or the coastal security is concerned. And they can do a lot by coming together, by guarding things properly. Piracy also is a problem on the Horn of Africa, where the pirates have ensured that the western side of this country will perpetually remain poor, simply because no country wants to trade with these countries where there is a problem of piracy, and it can be reduced. Okay. The next challenge these countries face is cyber security. There are criminals all over the world who will get into cyber acts, will hack government organizations, and the kind of losses that take place are tremendous. Third problem is of drug terrorism, or also called as the narco-terrorism. Narcotics is a way of life in Southeast Asian countries, in African countries, even South America and all, where narcotics takes far too much of a effort is spent in sending narcotics outside. Okay, next. So one of the common solutions to all this problem is intelligence. And General Alan Singh was commanding an institution called the Military Intelligence School. I think he's the right man to talk about intelligence, Intelligence is supposed to be the first line of defense. If you are forewarned, you can take precautions to ensure that the challenges don't reach you, and you can tackle them in a much better manner because you can put your resources properly, etc. So intelligence sharing is something very, very important which must be done, and each of these regions must have their intelligence sharing organization, and even at a world level you should have it. It is not that, please don't think that these are not existing right now. So there's a thing called, there's a common policing which is done. But this is being used to only protect interest of certain people, whom we call a terrorist. The national police or the international police organization don't treat them as terrorists. For example, there are certain bodies of United Nations. There are about 45 of them. One of them is an institution called WHO, World Health Organization. What did they do? When the corona struck, they are the ones who misguided the whole world and ensured that it spread faster. If that had stopped earlier, we could have suffered much lesser casualties. By we, I mean the whole world, But they were not bothered about the world. They only wanted to hide because 40 to 50, 60% of the budget of the United Nations bodies is being given by China. So they speak the Chinese language. They don't want to tell anything which is not convenient to them. So these are the challenges which is there, and what you can do about it is given their financial flows and addressing socio-economic drivers, etc., etc. Okay, next one. Maritime security I've spoken about, coastal security I've spoken about. One of the important factors there is increasing the maritime domain awareness, which means the traffic which is there in the sea, you have to find out which is the traffic which is doing illegal acts. Okay, if that can be identified, then you can make a country secure. There's a very famous quote by Chanakya thousands of years back. He says ki, it is not the gift of cow which is important, it is not the gift of gold which is important, but it is the gift of security which is most important, because if a nation is secure, then you can progress more rapidly. Next one, please. So what are the recommendations? I have made the recommendations region-wise. I made them together only. I don't want to get into each of the slides, because they are too long. Next slide, please. There are two set of recommendations. One is region-wise and second is together. Next slide, please. So this is, you can see, conclude would mean within the next 1 or 2 slides you will finish off, So there is a lot of things which you can do if you take this principle of Vasudeva kutumbakkam. A lot of things can be done together without affecting anybody's national interest. All that you need to do is have time, have patience, have resources, have a workable plan by which you can overcome the problem. Because narco-terrorism, nobody wants narcotics to come in their country. Let's say maritime security, same. Everybody can cooperate. So while there may be certain issues where people have contradictory opinions, so what we need to do now is bilateral issues. Let us keep it aside for some time, and the issues which are of common nature for the humanity, for the global South countries, that is what we need to focus upon. Next one, please. These are the common challenges: counter-terrorism, cyber security, improving border security, strengthening law enforcement, supply chains, and maritime security, of course, we talked about. Next, go ahead, please. And so therefore, what we need to do is, ultimately, you have to have a plan which is region-specific. You've got to have a plan which is country-specific, which will give you actually an action plan to tell you as to what are the challenges they are facing and how do they overcome it. And to do that, they have to improve their security apparatus, which is intelligence committees, then the armed forces, then the police forces, etc. If they are trained well, if they are equipped well, if they are financed well, then the security challenges which these people face will reduce, if not disappear. Yeah, next one. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.